On this episode of He Said, She Said Movie Reviews, we take a look at the movie Boy Erased, directed by Joel Edgerton and written by Gerald Conley and Joel Edgerton, starring Lucas Hedges, Nicole Kidman, Russell Crowe, and Joel Edgerton. Welcome to He Said, She Said Movie Reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie tastes take a quick look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
Boy Erased. We'll tell you all about it right after this.
Since there were no trailers before this movie, I want to do a shout out to a movie that was just released by Netflix called Dumplin. It's with Jennifer Aniston. She is a beauty queen, and it's all about pretty much the whole story centers around her plus-size teenage daughter and her decision to enter the Miss Teen Bluebonnet pageant. This movie was fabulous. It's a movie, Dolly Parton's music is in it, and there's a true love that is talked about and surrounds Dolly Parton in this movie. And it just is an upper. It's about acceptance and love and getting through things in life. I absolutely loved it, and I highly recommend it.
And here's the he said part of that. It's a good movie, but it is a chick flick. So anyways, we saw Boy Erased last week, and to be honest with you, we've waited a little bit to put this episode out just because we had to think about it for a bit. This is a movie written and directed by Joel Edgerton, and also it was written by Garrard Conley, who it's based off of his memoirs. So, and it stars Lucas Hedges, Nicole Kidman, Russell Crowe, and Joel Edgerton himself. So,
this was a very, very hard movie to watch. I felt really good about the resolution. I don't want to give anything about the movie away.
What's the story about?
What's the story about?
Yeah.
The story is about a young adult who forcibly is called out pretty much for his sexuality to his parents, and he has to deal all with the church program.
Well, yeah, he's also a son of a Baptist preacher, so
right.
That's important.
Yeah, I would have gotten to that,
okay.
But yeah, the whole point is that they put him in a church rehabilitation. I mean, what's the name of this?
Well, it's one of those programs that came out in the 2000s about
gay conversion,
pray the gay away, and that whole.
Yeah, it's just it is a very I'm just going to say it just like this. I believe as a parent, your job is to love unconditionally and support the soul that's within the child. So let me just first say that from the submissive wife to this decision of how they handled it. Of course, you know, Tim and I cannot relate to this in a million years. However, I want to go ahead now and review the movie. Okay.
Talking about this from the sake of a movie, the acting in this was phenomenal. Everybody involved in this, Lucas Hedges, everyone should remember him from his Academy Award nomination and Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
Then you got, of course, Nicole Kidman, and
who was fabulous as a very submissive wife.
Just all,
yeah, and just all the way down to her mannerisms. Tim, she did great.
Yeah, Russell Crowe as a Baptist preacher, great job.
Right,
and hats off to Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, he's always creepy. He was in The Gift.
Yeah,
remember?
The Gift with Jason Bateman. I will tell you, like I said, hats off to him. He wrote and directed this movie, but he was also almost, you could say, the antagonist in this movie. He was the psychologist at the camp for this, and
I don't know if I'd call him a psychologist.
Well, supposedly, but he did such a good job acting in this movie that for me personally, I hated the guy. I hated him by the end of the movie.
Yeah, but he's been in several movies where he's the not such a good character. I mean, I'll never forget him from The Gift. That was a scary movie.
That was, with a great twist in it. So if you haven't seen The Gift, see that movie too.
Okay. So the acting was good in this movie. I thought the dialogue, it's raw. It's raw emotion. There's definitely a message in this movie. And let me tell you, they don't beat you up with it. How do I explain that?
There's some great subtext in this movie without, you can't really talk about it because we don't want to spoil it for you once again. But the subtext is pretty intense in this movie.
Yeah.
For me, when I first looked at this movie and saw it, for me, the cinematography, it's a very dark movie. The way it's shot, even the daylight scenes are dark. But I started thinking about that, and that's the ambiance of the movie. It's a dark subject, and I think that the ambiance they created with the cinematography carries over into this movie.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Even into the church scenes, I want to say that just to prepare any of you, there is a violent sex scene, and it's very difficult. So
yes, it was.
I wanted to give. That's the only thing I'm going to say. With that, I want to talk about the characters though and how they developed them. It was so well done. When I sat down, and even though I say this is such a difficult movie, it doesn't mean the movie wasn't well made. It doesn't mean that the movie wasn't worth making because there's an important message in it. But the character development was, in my opinion, the best part because it's how they developed the mother's love for a child, how the son grows to be stronger on his own 2 feet and sets better boundaries in his life. I mean, there was a lot of good, even Russell Crowe as the father. I thought that he grew. His development was good.
Yeah, his character arc in the movie definitely had some growth in it. So it just, to me, it was such a hard movie to watch because I don't think people should be inflicting their opinions and their thoughts on other people. And that's what this movie is all about. Yeah. It's a hard one. It really is, but it's a very well made movie. I can't, when you review a movie, you have to look at the story versus how it was made. It was a well made movie.
Yes.
Tough story to watch though.
Right. But it was also about growth. And I talk about that a lot, about how life is, it's not about what happens to you, but it's about how you respond. And this is just, it's that times 100. But I want to say that I felt like all the way down to even their costumes. Like I know it was filmed in Atlanta, even though it's supposed
set
to be
in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. But just what they wore, the wardrobe, the hair, the mannerisms, just all the way down to the little things. Just how they even communicated as a family. I thought it went well. But again, anything too with kids. That's remotely dark subjects. That's the hard part. And I want to say that, at the end of this movie, I thought about this for a few days and I just really believe that, always I do a lot of work with young people and young adults. And the more encouragement and love and just complete acceptance you can give them and encourage them to accept themselves, it's going to be a far better world. So that's that.
Back to the movie review.
Yep. Sorry. Just had to
no, this is, parenting is all about unconditional love. And this movie stretches those boundaries.
Yep.
So what do you think, April?
I'm going to rate this movie at a definite 3.5 from the fact that just the performances, the dialogue. But I know I'm being repetitive here. It took me days to move past.
Yeah, like I said, we watched this movie last week, and it's taken us a week to get our thoughts around it so we could give it a review.
Yeah, and I was angry too. And I thought about whether or not I was going to say that, but I was angry too for several days, and I needed to just kind of catch my breath.
No, I completely understand. And also for me, it's also a 3.5. It's a really well-made movie. The story's hard to watch, and it's not this movie's not going to be for everyone, but I think everyone should see it. So
yeah, a bunch of Australian actors in this movie.
Tour de force from Australia in this. If you haven't already done so, please go out to hesaidshesaiedmoviesreviews.com/subscribe and subscribe to the podcast. I also want to let everyone know that we've made it a little bit easier for you to listen to our podcast. We're now on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel set up for He Said, She Said movie reviews. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. And please subscribe there also.
And of course, we're going to be reviewing The Mule in a few days, so tune in.
Thanks a lot for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you at the movies.
See you at the movies.